This is the Horse Radio Network.
This is episode 424 of the Stable Scoop Radio Show. Please support our sponsors as they make this show possible.
Our sponsors this week are HorseLovers.com, Dr. Rose's Remedies, and Horseware Winter Grooming Tips. Auditor, Realtor, Public Speaker, and Horseman Rad Watkins is our Listener of the Week. Nick from Make It Snappy speaks about focus and small wins. And Auditor Celeste reviews the Ashley Performance shirt. All of that on today's show. Listen in.
Welcome to the Stable Scoop, with weekly shows delivered right to you. With Helena and Glenn the Geek, live from the stable, it's every week. They bring you the news through hail or high water, while using their tails as their own fly swatters. So sit on down and laugh till you poop, cause it's time again for Stable Scoop. Stable Scoop. Stable Scoop. Stable Scoop.
This is Glenn the Geek.
And this is Helena B. And you're listening to the Stable Scoop Radio Show on the Horse Radio Network.
Are you married yet?
No, I'm not.
No, not yet. Wait,
No,
soon,
not
no,
yet.
right?
That's soon. When is this episode airing? This is
airing on Thursday, the 6th.
6th. Yes. I will be married on Friday the 7th.
Oh, so like tomorrow.
Right. In the evening.
Oh, wow. Very cool. And have you planned your raid of the park?
It's a pop-up wedding. It's a pop-up wedding.
Do you have to apply for a pop-up wedding, or do you just show up and hope you don't get kicked out?
The latter.
Oh,
We may need to apply,
I
but
did
we
this
don't
New
know.
England where you have to apply for permits for everything, you know?
We don't. We have absolutely no idea. But as Buck likes to say, it wouldn't be an adventure if there wasn't some risk involved.
Well, that's very exciting. Yay. And I know a lot of our listeners were sending congratulations your way.
Wow. I have to say thank you to all the listeners who sent me private messages with their warm wishes and their congratulations. I am so touched. I love that you guys are getting as excited about this as I am.
Well, longtime listeners have lived through a lot of stuff with you.
Oh,
So-
I know. So one person wrote this morning, I started listening to the show about the time that Buck entered the picture, and I was like, that's the perfect time.
Yeah, you missed all the crap.
yeah, exactly.
When the last one left the picture. Well, and I want to give a special shout out because it made our days, both of our days. And that Cecilia sent us a very nice note this morning about our show. And we really appreciate her and all the listeners. So
Wonderful.
Yeah.
Feeling all the feels.
yeah, that was a nice thing to wake up to this morning.
Yep,
Really
that's why
was.
we do what we do.
Yeah, you know what? It isn't for the money. So that's for sure. We do it. No, that is why we do it though. We do
It
it
is.
because we want to be here. We want to help brighten your day a bit. And if you learn something along the way, that's even better.
Yep. And for you guys, you don't know this about Glenn, and I don't know that we may have discussed this once on this show, but years ago, Glenn and I were chatting. We were at Myopia. Jen and I were probably doing something like loading hay or running around the barn. And Glenn was talking about his blogging world. Now, this was before blogging became a thing. And you said you wanted to start a blog or a news site called Only Nice News. You were so sick of all the horrible news that you just wanted to put out only nice news.
It was called reallynicenews.com.
Yep.
Or only nice. It was one of those two.
Onlynicenews.com.
That's right.
That was, you're like, this is really who I am. This is what I want my life to look like. And you've sort of achieved that. It's called Horse Radio Network now.
I had forgotten all about that. Wow.
Yeah.
And I
that
did
was
it
very
for about a
inspiring.
year. And the reason I quit was it was so hard to find nice news.
I know.
It was so depressing because I had to look at all the crappy news to get to the nice news.
Yeah, that's traumatic.
Oh, it was awful. I mean,
Any kind of journalist today is extremely stressful.
you
Because you have to fight through all the horror.
It was awful. and it was good for other people. I had some followers that really liked it because it was a place they could go that was nice,
Yep.
But it was awful for me. It was bad.
Well, it was a good idea.
It was a good idea. And that was in a hard time before Google, too, when searching was a little more difficult than it is today.
This is true.
That was pre-Google. I don't know what were Alta Vista or one of those or what we were using back then. Remember Alta Vista?
I do.
Or Dogpile?
That's a blast from the past.
Dogpile. Remember Dogpile.com? People
here's
are
one for here's one for our older listeners.
Yeah.
Our older men. Who remembers DOS?
Oh, yeah.
If you remember DOS, send us an email.
Yeah. If you
We'll give you a
remember using punch cards in high school, send me an email because that's where I was.
Yep, punch cards. I remember that. Clock in and clock out. You literally punched a card in a clock.
And then you put it through No, this was the computer system we were learning in high school. It was punch cards.
Those kinds
so
of
you
punch
did
cards.
A's, you did zeros and ones.
Yeah.
And you would have to put about 20 cards in to get one sentence out.
God.
That's
even pre-DOS. Yeah.
Yeah, that was Neanderthal, basically.
Well, that was a nice little walk down memory lane.
I had totally forgotten. I'm shocked you remember that. At onlynicenews.com. I wonder if that's still around somewhere. That's funny. Well, thank you for bringing that up.
You're welcome.
We have a big show for everybody today. We have Nick coming on, and he's going to be up next. And then we're going to do our Listener of the Week, who I had an opportunity to speak with yesterday about something else. Rad's a really cool guy. We're going to talk about something our Listener of the Week does something that's a first on the listeners we've interviewed this year. And then, of course, our product review with a girl, by the way, Celeste, who is having her wedding celebration on the 15th.
Oh, wonderful.
Yeah, so it's wedding.
Everybody's getting
it's wedding
married.
month here on at the Horse Radio Network. And, of course, I want to thank everybody who sent nice notes, who sent in voicemails, and who called in on Friday's 5,000th episode. That was a lot of fun. We had more callers in an hour than we've ever taken at any time.
Wow. Everybody loves a party, man.
We had 10 lines open, and they were full the entire hour, and I must have had 20 people write to me and say they couldn't get through. It was busy. And that was with 10 lines open. So it was very appreciated, and the nice podcasters that called in and said nice things about the Horse Radio Network. It was great. It was a fun show. If you haven't listened, just go back to horseradionetwork.com and check out Friday's Horses in the Morning. Also, if you missed it, yesterday, Wednesday on Horses in the Morning was our annual Disney episode where we had a whole bunch of people, including a lot of veterinarians and zoologists from Animal Kingdom on to talk about their work in rescuing and saving animals around the world. So tune into that too if you missed it. But now we have to get to our show. Let's go to Nick of the Make It Snappy show. He is going to talk to us today about focus and small wins.
It's time for our productivity tip of the month with Nick Snap, host of the Make It Snappy Productivity Show.
Well, hi, Nick. Welcome back to the show.
Thank you, Glenn and Helena. It's awesome to be here as usual.
Well, this month we're talking about small wins. So tell us about that.
Well, let's just kind of open this up, little town hall discussion per se. What is one of the overwhelming goals that either you or Helena have that just can't seem to get it done? You can't seem to find a way for this to stick. You have any examples?
Exercise.
There you go. Well, exercise is an easy one. Yeah, we can talk about that.
Yeah, no, that's true. I mean, that's one that came to mind immediately.
Mine is to keep track of all of the things I have to do on my calendars. I keep missing important dates.
Okay.
And Helena's always had that problem too, by the way.
That resonates with me. I could address, let's start with the exercise thing. So when we're accomplishing goals...
And I've always had that problem, by the way.
It's true.
Saying so
it's not
we're
new.
Gonna kill two birds with one stone, address two problems at once. Awesome. So like with these goals, these things that we want to do, they're overwhelming because we try to tackle the whole thing at once. And just the cliche way to look at it is you eating things one bite at a time. You want to eat an elephant one bite at a time. Well, when we set out to exercise or get in shape or something, we look at what the end result is, and we don't necessarily look at what it's going to take to get there along the way. And we try to just bite off way too much more than we can chew. So we want to say, okay, I'm going to exercise. It's New Year's. I'm going to go for 90 minutes a day, 6 days a week for the entire year. I'm going to knock it out. And then what happens? You know the story. Week into it, you just fizzle out and you kind of shuffle back into steady state. So with the small win concept, it's what can you do that you know you can't screw up? Can you just start with something like 5 minutes a day or 10 minutes a day and just knock it out of the park? I mean, 10 minutes a day is something you could do in your bedroom or wherever you might need to execute this particular exercise or goal of yours. You can do it anywhere. It's very low risk or low friction, I should say. So how do you make it easy for you to knock it out of the park for the exercise front?
So remove what obstacles you're saying? Like,
yeah,
make it easy. Pick a way that's just, don't worry about what it is. Just make it easy.
Exactly. So one thing with these small wins is that we don't accomplish these goals because we lack personal integrity, not integrity with others. Because if you had like a phone call like this call that I'm on right now, we started this at 1 p.m. I'm here. I made a commitment to you and I executed. With ourselves, though, the things that we do, we don't have that personal integrity. So we got to figure out a way to build that back up and trust ourselves again. So if you make it easier, doing something like laying your clothes out to go work out for 10 minutes only the night before, then you're going to see those there. And you're like, oh yeah, my former self, myself yesterday made a commitment to my future self to go ahead and execute this. It's something really, really small. All it took was 30 seconds to lay out your gym clothes. You jump in them and you execute for 5 minutes. You start building that trust back up so you can work your way up to a bigger goal.
I think I did this accidentally this morning. I think I do this by habit. When I get up in the morning and I get dressed, because I work from home for the most part, I can choose to wear whatever I want. Mm-hmm. And quite often I will put on my breeches in the morning because my intent is to squeeze a ride on my horse at some point during the day, whether that's on my lunch hour or when I'm done with my work day. But it just takes 30 seconds. I know where my breeches are. I put those on, and that's sort of my early morning self helping to inspire or motivate my late afternoon self. Did that count?
That would absolutely count. That's a really good example.
Okay.
And
cool.
Yeah, you're doing great. You're already doing it without even knowing it. It's a small win, but you just don't want to make it difficult. You want to make it just easy to knock out of the park so you can build that confidence. One, you set up the infrastructure of your life to make it easy to accomplish something, but then you don't make that something so huge that it's overwhelming. You don't even want to start. You don't even know where to get started. The other thing you guys talked about was keeping on track, all the different things to do, right? So do you have any examples of a small way that you could keep better track of all your things to do without trying to get it all organized at once?
Well, and I know, Helena, you use calendars and stuff.
I do. I use a Google Calendar. Okay. And I've now, my obstacle was syncing my phone with my Google Calendar because I'm often on the run. I think most of us can relate to this. We do business from wherever. We're mobile.
Of course.
And so what I was doing at my desktop and in my office was not communicating with that little piece of technology that was following me around. And that's where I would forget stuff. So syncing up my Google Calendar with my phone did help. But, it's when the information comes in, like, that newsletter from your child's school or the reminder from the veterinarian that your cats are due for their vaccines, I have to force myself to stop, look at it, and record that thing. You have to record it someplace. So I get a lot of what I call second force. It's opposite energy that wants to create this block and not let me do that.
Well, would you like some perspective on that?
Please.
She brought up a couple different things with this concept of, okay, one thing was a stumbling block for you was just syncing up your phone to your calendar. Well, the small win for that particular day would be like, if I do anything else today, I'm not going to worry about all the stuff I got to do. If I do one thing, it's going to be to figure out how to sync this phone up with my calendar. I'm going to call Apple and I'm going to go on the phone for an hour or whatever it takes. I'm going to knock that out. That's my small win for the day. Okay. The next way that when I look at these sort of things is it's like a massively overwhelming thing to think about all these things that come in your life. How are you going to record them? Well, if you break it down to logical steps, which is kind of how I think from what step 1, step 2, step 3. It's one, I just need to make a decision for what works for me to capture this information. Like, you know what works for you. If it's a little notepad in your pocket, if it's going into some sort of app on your phone, or whatever it is, just decide, make that decision on what it is you're going to use to capture that information. Just that's your small win for the day. Worry about the next step later.
Okay.
Does that make you feel better?
It does.
The problem I have, I kind of the same way as Helena, like I get so many emails each day. So, I've gotten much better now at forcing myself when there's an email that has something I have to do of actually putting it on my calendar, especially if it's an interview or something like that. I actually force myself to put it on the calendar. Or sometimes I'll go, well, I'm going to be looking at my emails later today. I will put it on the calendar then. That never works because the email gets buried in 20 others, and now I've never gotten to the bottom of that pile, and that's how I miss things. Although I've gotten better about my emails, well, today it's bad. I'm up to 80, but I have kept it under 5,300 when we talked a couple months ago.
That's great.
So I'm doing better with my emails. Like today, the rest of the day, I'll be cleaning these emails out.
Yeah, I mean, email is like a whole nother. We talked about.
We did. We talked about email, and I've been much better since we talked about it. I actually implemented it.
And I'm very proud of you for that. But I think with email, just in a general sense, it's the whole thing about making a decision. That's the hard part about all these things we stumble on.
Then it's also about actually doing something about the decision before you're on to the next thing, which is Lena's and I big problem.
And the decision, though, is like you get factoring in how important is this to you? You know, the level of priority.
In our case, it's how important it is that we don't forget this. So we actually open the calendar and put it in. I know that seems ridiculous, but
it's a question to ask yourself, though, right? When you're into that mode.
Well, and I've just gotten better.
The pain of not doing it comes round.
Yeah, exactly.
And eventually
there are consequences.
You're sick and tired of being sick and tired, and that will motivate you to carve out the time.
People being mad at you.
To actually, but I think what Nick is trying to say is find that thing that is going to be a small win, make it small, make it something that is easily digestible, and then carve out the time to do it. And because it's not so big, you're not overwhelmed. Because I think for a lot of people, especially me, if I feel like something is overwhelming, I will procrastinate, I will avoid it, I will come up with every excuse not to carve out the time to do it.
Definitely.
But so you're saying break it up into some small piece that it involves a decision, one decision, make that decision, like commit to it.
That's right. And for email, like even if you have 1,000 emails, it's so overwhelming to try to think about tackling all of that. Just be like, I'm just going to commit to 10 minutes today. Just 10 minutes. Make the decisions on what the priorities are. I'm going to process the last 50 that came through, and not even 50, probably the last 10 that came through, and be done with it.
And
move on.
I have to share something that I saw on LinkedIn today. I went to a sales conference recently in Boston for one of my marketing clients, and there was a woman who was speaking there. Is phenomenal. She's just the queen of sales, and her piece of advice is right in line with what you're saying, Nick. And that she said, and this is applicable for any small business owner. You don't have to be in sales, but if you are responsible for driving your own new business, this is what you do. She said, at the end of every day or at the beginning, pick a spot. Mm-hmm. Take 10 minutes. It doesn't even have to be 10 minutes. Make one cold call or make one prospecting activity, whether that's an email, pick up the phone, send a message, just one. Promise yourself that once each day you will do this. And I thought, I can do that. I just send one email. That's awesome. But if I think of the effort in terms of I have to set some time aside today to prospect for new business, that's overwhelming. But break it down into a smaller win of, I can send one email.
Because I actually do something you're talking about. I send out 2 a day. That's my goal. 2 marketing emails a day to cold people.
Okay.
So you're already doing the small wins. I love that.
Wow, Helena. I hit one finally.
You did.
That's very, very
but
true.
But then, you know what? That adds up. That's 10 a week.
Oh, yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
That adds up.
I was in a sales training program where he was trying to tell us to target like inviting 30 people to have a sales call with you. 30 people a day. That's so overwhelming. And it didn't work. Your brain explodes.
I used to do that when I was in insurance, and that's hard. It is hard. It's emotionally, it wrecks you emotionally.
Yeah.
And I burn out because it just wrecks you. It's hard to do. But you know what? Certain types of sales, you have to do it or you're going to starve. So
That's right.
I admire anybody who has to do that still today. That's hard.
And then you get to the point where you don't want to do anything. But if you take Helena's approach and your approach, just do 2 a day. Hey, that's...
Have you implemented that then, Helena?
No, I just read about it this morning.
Oh, okay.
But it inspired me because, and actually I did something about it. The minute I read it, I said, I could do this.
And one email a day it works is 20 a month, right? So, and if we look at averages for sales and closing, you're going to average 1 close for every 10 contacts. You're closing 2 new things every month.
That would be nice.
Boom.
Let's cross our fingers and hope it works that way. But I think what Nick is trying to say here, and correct me if I'm wrong, Nick, is that taking something that's bigger and identifying it as a small win, like make the objective small, and then but the win can feel big, even though it's a small effort. The win can actually be quite big. Yeah.
Absolutely. You hit it on the head.
Yay! Good job, Helena.
Yeah, well, I can say it, but talking the talk and walking the walk are 2 different things.
All right, we're going to ask Helena now next month if she did her 1 a day.
I'm writing it down now.
All right, cold marketing 1 a day.
You guys suck. Making
Accountability.
Accountability. That's next month's topic.
Let's do it.
Thank you, Nick. Where can people listen to your show?
At makeitsnappyshow.com/podcast.
Makeitsnappyshow.com is where you go. You can also find it on iTunes or any of the podcast players out there. Just search for Make It Snappy Show. Thanks, Nick.
Thank you, Nick.
We'll talk soon.
Well, we're gearing up. It's only 2 months away from the Radiothon. We're talking about what big guests we're going to get on. All the sponsors are getting lined up. And you know what that means? It's less than 2 months away from Christmas shopping season. Yep, I know. It's not even Halloween yet. But I was in Walmart the other day, and they had all the Christmas stuff out already. I was like, are you kidding me?
Oh, boy.
It was all the Christmas stuff was out already. But so you're starting to think about Christmas, which means it's getting cold, which means you need a blanket for your horse. So stop by horselovers.com and check out all of the blanket options. There are a ton of them on there. And it doesn't matter whether you're an English rider or Western rider. Blankets are blankets, horses are horses. And you can find the complete selection from horsewear to Weatherbeeta to all of the different blanket lines. They have them all on there. You're going to find something for your needs, whether it's a stable blanket, an outdoor blanket, whether you just need a rain sheet. And the other cool thing is they have a complete section, and I know we have a lot of people who have minis that listen to the show. They have a complete section for minis. So they have the Kensington, the Weatherbeeta for minis, and ponies also, and Amigos. They have the Rambo options that are available for minis and small ponies. So if you have a mini or a small pony, horselovers.com has you covered. Head over there for all your blanketing needs. And if you're looking for new winter wear for yourself, because you're preparing for a very cold winter, according to Farmer's Almanac in the Northeast, and well, it's always cold in Canada.
Yeah,
Yes.
snowy winter,
Yeah,
snowy
exactly.
winter.
Then head on over to horselovers.com for that as well. You'll find a complete selection of winter wear for yourselves. That's horselovers.com for all of your horse shopping needs. And now we're coming up to our listener of the week.
It is the year of the listener. And now, our Stable Scoop listener of the week.
Our listener of the week this week is Radley Watkins. We call him Rad, which is the coolest name ever. He lives in Wisconsin, and it's a guy. Yay, another guy. I always love when we get to highlight guys in this show because it doesn't happen very often. Hi, Rad.
Hey, Glenn. How are you? Hi, Helena.
Well,
Hi.
I teased a little earlier in the show that we're going to talk about something, one of your jobs that's a little bit different that we've never talked about here on the show before. You are a realtor, but you also are an author and a speaker, but the topic is approached in a little bit different way. Tell us about that.
Oh, well, I wrote a book called Animal Leadership, Leadership Lessons Learned from Wildlife for Leading Yourself and Others. And it's sort of based on a 4-part personality test that I have. You can either be a bear, a wolf, an eagle, or a horse. And those are all creatures that I've worked with and learned a great deal from. So I categorize people. There's a little personality test people can take on animalleadership.com. And once you kind of find out what you are, you can put yourself in the right habitat to play to your strengths, and you can feed others kind of information in the way they like to consume it. So it's a little different twist on some basic success principles that we should all know.
What do you think Helena and I are from your experience?
I think Glenn's an eagle, which is the thoughtful, careful, technical, going to sit up in the tree till they see what's going down and then
Oh, that is so not me, Rad.
No?
No. That'd be more Helena than me.
Really?
I'm an eagle. I sit up in the tree and
you are thoughtful though, and kind of analyze things a lot more than I do. Which one is the jump into the deep end and then figure out how to swim later?
That's the wolf. I'm with you on that. You're running around, nipping at the heels
That's
of
what I am.
everything. And really, I would have thought with all your technical stuff.
No.
Oh, no. He's definitely See, you guys don't hear the blooper reels as often as I do.
Yeah.
There's a lot of stuff that goes on behind the scenes. So I would definitely say,
I'm the wolf.
He's the wolf.
What about Helena? You don't see yourself as the thoughtful type?
Oh, no, I do. I think he's spot on, but I want to hear what the bear and the horse are like too.
Well, so the bear is the kind of go it alone. Basically, you have the bear and the eagle are going to work on their own, more isolated. The bear is a jump right into it and power through, and whether other people are going to help me or not, it's going to go ahead, and I'm going to just make it happen. So the wolf would, again, be somebody who works with others a lot, kind of gets everybody riled up, sort of a life of the party type of person, and gets people committed and going in after the big prey. Then the horse person is, again, social, but more socially reserved. They're going to want to do what other people are doing. They're going to be careful not to step on anybody's toes. They're going to be the ones who have a lot of follow through bit by bit by bit, but not be the natural leader, not be the one saying, here's what we're going to do necessarily, more let me know how I can help you. And so they lead by supporting other people. And then the eagle, as we discussed, is kind of analytical and a more would like to avoid conflict and flies away if something's troubling them. So it's kind of fun.
That's totally me. I'm so eagle.
I think you're an eagle. I think you're an eagle too. Yeah.
Likes a bird's eye view of things, can strategize. And
now is it like the Chinese things where certain eagles get along with bears, and is it like that, or do you not go that way?
Yeah, a little bit. I mean, it all depends on what people are used to, but so every animal has their trap. Like the bear person's trap is that they can be overly aggressive and overly assertive, and instead of being the knight in shining armor who says, here's what we're going to do, and everyone says, oh my gosh, what are we going to do? They can kind of step forward and say, here's how it's going to be. And people say, oh my gosh, he's kind of a bully. Let's, not invite Joe to the meeting because we don't necessarily need that. The wolf trap is they're fighting on so many heels that they can't focus and bring down one animal that they really need to.
That'd be me.
Yeah. Well, that's interesting, Glenn. I didn't know that. I thought, again, with all your technical stuff, that you must be very careful. And
I dive in the deep end and then figure it out later. So with the eagle, with Helena's, what's her trap?
She would suffer from paralysis through analysis.
Yes.
So
just nailed you.
Oh my God. This is
really that you do that?
Oh my God, Rad, you hit the nail on the head. Yep. Oh. Can't make a decision. There's so much information that's coming in. I have so many impressions that I'm taking in. There are 1,000,001 different directions that you could go. And this is also the trap of a creative mind and a problem solver. There are 101 different ways that you can go. How do you decide which one to do?
I can't tell you how many times Jennifer and I have said to Helena, would you just shut up and decide?
Yep.
Make a decision already. Yeah,
Yeah,
before
exactly.
your fish swims
Jeez.
away.
It isn't life and death which bread you pick for lunch. Just pick one.
Oh my God, you are so going to get it. You better hope that this hurricane takes you out, because if it doesn't, I'm going to come down there and do it myself.
Oh my God.
So what do you learn from that? Okay, so you take these animals and you're talking about their, how they deal with things on stage during your talks. What are the takeaways that you bring to the table during those talks?
Well, once people start to realize that there's different kinds of folks, then they can start to think about what they are. And really, you're going to want to play to your strengths. If you I'll use myself for an example. As the wolf, I am not particularly organized. I'm ready to jump in and get people riled up for a bunch of different things. But as far as producing good minutes or something after a meeting, my follow-through is not great. My organization with dates isn't great. So I start to say, what jobs am I best at? Well, I'm really good at getting people excited about ideas, recruiting, things like that. So if I focus on that, life will be more efficient for me and I'll be more effective as a person. So I think the key is to figure out who you are and play to your strengths, and then know what your traps are. So if you need a planner or something to help you stay on top of your unorganized life, then you get that tool. And then if you know that other people may be different, instead of assuming that there must be a problem with them because they don't like to do everything just like you do, you can say, what kind of person are they? And then how do I bring out the best in them without forcing my way down their throat?
Mm.
Very
Wow, Glenn, we
Very
have
cool.
some learning to do, I
Yes,
think,
we
from
do.
Rad.
Well,
This is
it's
great.
fun.
So
And
how
the-
does all this,
Yep.
how does this incredible body of knowledge, and obviously you live this, it's now become a part of you, because I think we learn the most and we absorb the most through teaching. So you're speaking, you're writing, you're sharing all of this knowledge. How does it affect your life with your horses? Which is it's separate, I'm thinking, but I'm sure that this thread connects somehow, or it feeds your relationship with your horses.
Well, the horses I've been just diving into more and more. They're so addictive. I didn't start with horses till I was 30, and I did the green on green thing where the first horse I got was a yearling, and the second horse I got to keep that horse company was a 2-year-old, both unstarted.
Okay,
So,
congratulations on your survival.
There he is,
Yeah.
jumping in the deep end.
Yeah. So it's just been really interesting to see how different horses learn differently. There's definitely horse traits to all horses, but I'm actually, the next book I'm working on is what working with horses can teach us about leadership and life skills. So that's in the works, and it's just fun to really work with these horses that go from being skeptical about being touched to riding us through the woods or wherever you go. It's I don't know. I think I've started 12 different horses now over the last 15 years. I guess it's been 14 years, and that's what I'm good at. Once it gets to the fancy riding, it's time to sell them to somebody else who knows how to do that. But taking them from being skeptical and untrusting to being a good buddy is sure fun, and that's what I really like to do.
How many do you have right now?
I have 3. We just sold a halflinger last week. I had a dream of everyone in my family riding, and a couple weeks ago, my 10-year-old daughter came to me and said, Dad, just so you know, I'm never going to be into these horses. And my bubble burst, and I thought, what am I doing with 4 horses that I can only ride one at a time? And
So you're the
It's
only
a lot
one
of
in the
work.
family riding? Wife doesn't either?
Nope, she should be on your horse husband show. She's very supportive, but she could care less about the horses and thinks they're a money pit. And we kind of, I'm a little bit more in touch with my feminine side, and she's an engineering type. She's a little in touch with her male side. So we're a good yin and yang. I mean, we're both still male and female, but there's definitely, she would fit well on your horse husband show sometime. If you ever do a female episode, let Gretchen know.
I like that, Glenn. See, it's not, you don't have to, You don't have to be a guy to be a horse husband.
That's true.
There's no gender differential there. It's true because we
Geez,
all
Glenn.
have.
Does she
we all
have the
like-
same bitches that we do as horse husbands, Rad?
Yeah,
Yeah.
pretty much. The money, and then there's the money.
Oh boy.
And the time. Apparently, my hobby is picking up manure, she thinks. That's considered hobby time, and I don't get extra time to go riding.
Oh, I like picking up manure. So, yeah, it's sort of a hobby too.
There are
It's
days.
very peaceful zen. It's
Yes, it is.
I think I do a lot
Yeah.
of thinking. I'm picking
Yeah.
up. What else are you going to do when you're scooping poop?
Yeah.
Listen to the Horse Radio Network.
Apparently, a lot of people do that. I listen to podcasts while I scoop poop. It's kind of like brain-free time, you know?
Yeah.
And we'd be perfect for that, being brain-free, Helena. So-
Yes, we will.
So if you're looking for brain-free time, just listen to us. You're guaranteed no thought involved.
No thought, just entertainment.
That's right. We're just here to entertain. So you've never competed then at all?
No. I'm not too fancy. I really like trail riding. We live in a place where I can trail ride right out my back door. And except for the 9 months of winter or whatever we have here, it's quite wonderful for riding.
That sounds
So-
nice.
Yeah, and that was always kind of my thing. I've lived in Montana and Idaho and Washington State and Colorado and really liked the big wilds. And when we first got horses, we were in Idaho, and I always thought I would ride up to some mountain lake and fly fish. But apparently it's really hard to ride a 2-year-old that is untrusting up into the mountains to go fly fishing. So I never quite achieved
With
that
a
while we were
fishing
there.
rod sticking out by his head. Yeah, that's...
Yeah. So maybe someday when we return.
Now, have you become a cheesehead since you moved to Wisconsin?
I've always spent my summers visiting Wisconsin, so I don't know. It's not very cheesy around here. We're in the thick forests of the north,
Oh, cool.
and
Cool,
I'm not
literally.
into sports. Yeah, no, it's cold. We get at least a week of -20 a year. And the lakes don't melt until the end of April, so it's
That makes you
it's
look warm,
cold.
Helena. You live in the tropics, Helena, compared to that.
I know. Well, especially now.
Well, now,
Yeah.
Rad, how did you hear about us?
I don't know. One of the things that's kind of influenced my life is I'm not much of a reader. I had a lot of trouble in school, so I'm labeled learning disabled, but I just consider it actually a lack of creativity on the school's part. But so I'm a listener, and I'm always looking for stuff to listen to. And I thought, what if there's a horse radio show or something out there? And I think I Googled horse radio shows and found out not only is there a show, there's 5,000 episodes. And so I'm super thankful and excited for what you guys do. It's really huge for me. And then not really having anybody else in my life who's into horses, I feel like I have a whole family of horse people just by listening to you guys. So I'm really, really thankful for what you've done.
Well, we're happy to have you out there listening and enjoying, and now
Yeah.
participating and being a part of.
Well, and now that means it's time for rapid fire questions. Helena, we have time for 5 of them. I will let you
Right.
pick which 5 you want to throw at him.
Okay, I'll throw them gently.
Okay, just
I
whip
was on
'em.
I was cruising through his website. I got to get back to our show notes. Okay, here we go. Let's start with, what is your favorite food?
Veggie burritos.
Mm.
Burrito. Are you a vegetarian?
I'm not a vegetarian. I eat mostly like a vegetarian, except for the few months of summer where I live off of bratwurst. But
You do live in
I pretty
Wisconsin,
much-
so
It is.
yeah, so I guess I am a bit of a cheesehead now, Glenn. So veggie burritos. I used to sell them at Grateful Dead concerts.
All right, there we go.
There you
Enough
go.
said. So, what is your biggest equestrian or equine pet peeve?
Well, from the equine itself, a horse that is hard to catch, but that's usually easy enough to figure out if you work with it. From people, I guess anybody who, abuses their horse, beats on their horse, uses too many gimmicks to bend them this way or that way, or restrain them. I like to see a horse in a more or less natural state cooperating because they like to. So.
And they can. Yeah.
And they can. It's their choice, right?
Yeah.
As
You give them
much
the
as
freedom to
possible.
do it. And so if you had to choose a different career altogether, not one that involved horses, what do you think you might try?
My mom cursed me with telling me I could do anything that I wanted to do. So I have had more jobs than anybody else I know. And I don't know. I think if I knew the answer to that, I would go do it. But I don't know, maybe be a teacher or I really don't have a good answer for that because I would be scared to think about it too much or else I might just go do it.
And there is
That's
your
the
good
wolf
answer.
in me.
And his horsey wife doesn't want him to do that either. So,
Well, she's been through enough of that, the poor thing.
yeah, right, exactly. She wants a paycheck.
Yeah.
If you won $1 million, what would you do with it?
I would go to Montana and buy a little horse-friendly property somewhere next to the edge of a national forest.
That sounds good.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'll be there. I'll be your neighbor. Buy me a little cottage. I could be your caretaker.
Yeah, we could run. I would host horse clinics there.
And then to wrap up our sort of rapid fire questions, what's the most terrifying thing that you've ever done, and would you do it again?
Probably some of the most terrifying things I've done is starting horses when I was green and having them take off on me. And I would do it again, but I would do it differently. And now I don't quite let them achieve full speed with me just hanging on to the horn anymore. So I'd do it again in a different way. Yeah.
I like that, Glenn. Glenn, I don't think we've heard that yet. Would you do it again? Yes, but in a different way.
Yeah, right.
Yeah. Good for you.
Yeah.
Well, it was
Thanks.
really
That's
nice
'cause he's a
getting to really know you. I love the work that you're doing with the animal leadership. Love it. You have a fan.
Thank you. Yeah, go take the test. It's only 11 questions. It takes just 1 second to take the test at animalleadership.com. And thank you guys so much for having me on the show. I really love, again, the work you do and really appreciate it. So, thanks. It's nice getting to know you guys, too.
Dr. Rose's Remedies Skin Treatment Salve and Spray are 100% all-natural products. They are anti-inflammatory, antibacterial, antiviral, and antifungal. Dr. Rose's are made with all human-grade ingredients and are safe and effective for treatment for all manner of cuts and scrapes on your horse. And Dr. Rose's is the must-have product here at the Horse Radio Network headquarters to keep PT Scooter's delicate white pasterns free from dew poisoning and scratches. Ask for Dr. Rose's at your local tax store or feed supplier, or visit them online at drrosesremedies.com. That's drrosesremedies.com. Well, Helena, for the next 8 weeks, Horseware has been kind enough to come on board and help us out with some winter grooming tips. And we have two of the best grooms in the business that are going to be helping us with these over the next 8 weeks. So let's get started with the Horseware winter grooming tip. This winter grooming tip is brought to you by Horseware Blankets. Joining us are two of the top grooms in the country, Eventer Philip Dutton's groom Emma Ford and Kat Hill from World Class Grooming. Well, this week's Horseware winter grooming tip, we have Emma on, and we're talking about winter scratches on the legs, or scratches of any time, really, on the legs, but especially in the winter. It's a problem we have in here in Florida all year long, so I'm interested to hear what you have to say.
Yeah, everybody, one of the things with our clinics that we do, everyone's always asking, how do we get rid of the scratches? Hopefully these tips will help you guys out. Scratches really comes down to, or preventing scratches comes down to good grooming practices, making sure you're good about lightly currying your legs both before and after riding. So their legs actually are has the poorest circulation within their body. So you actually want to get that circulation going. So improving that circulation in the legs helps to prevent infection. Very important that you don't start overwashing your legs and by overwashing with shampoos, you actually remove the horse's natural ability to fight these infections. You end up drying out the skin and removing the oils that is what they actually need to help you or help themselves, basically, to maintain their skin health. Should you want to or need to shampoo, then always use a very mild shampoo. And again, you can use something as simple as ivory. And then very important to towel dry those legs. And it's not just about drying the hair, it's about drying the skin. For those of you down south, I would definitely recommend hand grazing your horses before you put them away in their stalls. Trying to put horses away with wet legs, providing that environment of moist and warm for bacteria to grow. For some people, I've even recommended blow drying their leg to make sure that the hair and the skin gets dry. Obviously, you need a quiet horse for this. And
my Hackney pony would be in the state of Georgia after I tried that.
It is not for everybody. It is not for everybody. And then a lot of people are enjoy wrapping their horses a lot. If you do need, for some reason, wrap slightly damp legs, you could apply talcum powder to help with the moisture control. Always make sure you use clean boots and clean polos. By the time you either have mud or dirt rubbing into their skin and make the small micro abrasions, that's what you're trying to avoid. Sort of any surface abrasion that could allow for the bacteria to grow is what we're always trying to avoid. And then for those of you that, have to work outside, you don't have the luxury of an indoor and it's a bit muddy and it's a bit wet, if your horse is prone to scratches, then using some sort of zinc oxide paste or Desitin is a good way of preventing. It forms a good barrier against those microorganisms.
Very good. Where can people find out more about what you do?
We are available on worldclassgrooming.com and also Facebook, Instagram, and we have a top-selling book on any horse or equestrian establishment, World Class Grooming, the competition horse.
Great Christmas gift for the loved ones in your life, no matter whether they have a backyard horse or they're a competitor. Worldclassgrooming.com is where you can find it. This tip was brought to you by Horseware. Have you ever wanted to own your own Rambo? Well, here's your chance. From October 3rd to November 23rd, receive $50 off any Rambo turnout blanket, including the Rambo Duo, the Optimo, the Original, the Supreme, and all the others in the Rambo turnout line. All you have to do is trade in your old turnout from any brand for a horse in need. Simply visit horseware.com/trade for more information and fill out the form for the voucher you will need to get your $50 off. The complete list of retailers is at horseware.com/trade as well. Open to U.S. and Canadian residents only. Go to horseware.com/trade today and replace that blanket with all the holes for one of the best blankets on the market, the Rambo Turnout line.
Now, our Tack and Habits segment, sponsored by horselovers.com. I'm very excited because we have a longtime Horse Radio Network friend, fan, auditor, and she's been a guest, Celeste Coulter. Welcome, Celeste.
Hi, guys.
You are going to review my favorite apparel, riding apparel, because I don't know, I seem to have a problem with never having enough. So when someone that I trust comes on the show and talks about whether or not they've liked or disliked something, I pay particular attention. What are you reviewing for us today?
So I got the Noble Outfitters Ashley Performance shirt, the long sleeve, kind of a technical fabric shirt.
Okay.
And I got it in white just because I wanted to have the option of wearing it to shows if need be. I really liked it. I have a couple other Noble Outfitter shirts, so I got the feeling I would probably enjoy it, but this one's even a little bit more high end than the other ones that I got just for sort of everyday riding. It's really great because it has these mesh panels inside the arms, so it breathes really well, and at the same time, it's not so much mesh that you feel like, if it's a little bit chilly, it's still that long sleeve that keeps you from feeling kind of the nip of a cooler evening. But it's airy enough that I wore it, I think it was about 95 degrees, probably 95% humidity here in Virginia. And it kept me cool the whole time. And I took it out on about a 3-hour trail ride out that was mixed sun and shade. And I felt great in it.
Wow. I was at a Daniel Stewart clinic over the summer, and I noticed that he was wearing one of these shirts, and the sun was really strong. It was like, 1 o'clock in the afternoon, and I had short sleeves on, and I said, my arms were burning up, and I thought, I really wish I had something covering my sleeves. And he lifted his arms, and I saw the mesh underneath. And he didn't look at all sweaty or uncomfortable or hot. So you're saying that in 95-degree Virginia weather, you were comfortable in this thing?
Yeah, I was comfortable, and that's saying something because it is pretty fitted. Like it feels sort of like if you just picked it up, you might think it was going to be that clingy type of like, oh, it's stuck to me, and I feel like I'm just like sitting in my own sweat. Yeah. But it's fitted, but it's not compressing you or anything. So even though I obviously was sweating because it was so warm out, I didn't feel like I was, having to like peel the shirt away from my skin to feel comfortable. And as I'm getting a little older, I'm realizing how much I appreciate not necessarily getting a tan so much as just keeping my skin from being burnt alive, being out in the sun all day. So I definitely do. I've kind of started to gravitate towards having some of these nice technical fabric shirts to wear if I'm going to be out in the sun all day riding several horses in the middle of the day. Then I'm gravitating towards some of these better long sleeve shirts to cover my arms up instead of having them burn alive, even if I'm applying sunscreen over and over again.
Awesome.
Well, and these are at horselovers.com. You can go search for Noble Outfitters Ashley Performance long sleeve shirt. We'll also put a link in our show notes. They're $59.95, so they're a little bit more expensive than you're probably used to paying. But as you said, you think they're worth it.
Yeah, definitely. And then one thing I will say is I did want to go all the way through, and I got all the way to getting it dirty and then putting it in the washer. I probably should have washed it more promptly, I will say, because with the white, I did notice I got one of my guys, of course, had to like slime my back as I was walking out of the stall. So I didn't treat it right away, and it mostly came out, but I probably waited 3 or 4 days before I threw it in the wash. And if I had pre-treated it, I think I wouldn't have seen anything. But if you're going to get the white, I will say I would suggest if you get a nice big green slobber mark on you to either treat it or put it in the wash just like that night. So it'll probably come out a little better. But there was just a faint little bit of color still on the back of it when I took it out of the wash.
And the way this is designed, you could use it at shows. If you could put a stock tie on. A matter of fact, it has a stock tie loop in the back of the neck there.
Yeah.
So
absolutely. And I've worn it to work even. Like, it's sporty. It's one of those things you put on, you're like, ooh, I feel professional now.
Well, there you go. $59.95 over at Noble Outfitters. They have it in a multitude of sizes and also in white and periwinkle, which isn't periwinkle like a bluish sort of color?
I think
it's like a lavenderish.
Lavenderish, bluish.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's a blue-based purple.
It's a bluish purple. Yeah, that's right. Okay, got it. So if you don't want white, then you can go bluish purple periwinkle. And you'll find that at horselovers.com as well. Thank you, Celeste.
Yeah, of course.
Well, what is going on the Newport show? Is there going to be big coverage on next Newport show all about a certain wedding at a park?
I hope so. Are there
going to be reporters there? Is a newspaper coming?
Hopefully not, because that would mean we got in trouble for our pop-up wedding. It's
bride
going to
arrested in park in Newport.
I know. Cute couple arrested in park in Newport. We did an episode this past week with a local style celebrity. There is a great blog called Newport Style File, and she was on our show. She's going to be on this actually about the same time that this show is airing. And she said, I'm going to stalk you guys. She said, I'm going to come and I'm going to go to the Starbucks across the street and I'm going to look down on the park. I said, you can just come and sit in the park. We're okay with that. We're happy with strangers, and fans. I have absolutely no idea what to expect. The weather is supposed to be 68 degrees and sunny, and that's pretty much all I care about. And hopefully no one
The
will.
hurricane won't be up the coast by then, right?
No, it's not supposed to get here until Sunday, till mid to late day Sunday. So we should be fine for Friday. And I'm wearing a strapless dress, so the warm weather is great. And we have no idea what to expect. And that's kind of how Buck and I roll. We have no idea what's going to happen. We come up with a plan and cross our fingers and hope that it works.
Oh, it'll be fine. It'll be good.
Fine. We don't care. As long as at the end of the day, we end up married. However, whatever the road looks like to that little thing.
Do you have your wedding or marriage certificate yet? Wedding license.
We got it
I'm just
yesterday.
going to call it the wedding license. The marriage
It's a license.
Is
a
it?
marriage license.
Oh,
Yep.
it's a marriage license there. Yeah.
Costs us $24.
There you go. Now you're
and we
good.
filled out a piece of paper. I'll tell you, it's crazy how easy it is to get married.
Yeah, it's a lot harder to get divorced than it is to get married.
Holy cow. Yeah, people, think twice before you fill out that piece of paper and hand over your $24.
Were you shaking? Did you have any reservations?
No, I did not. There were times where I was like, holy cow, I can't believe I'm going to do this again. Really? You really want to do this again? And those are all gone. I mean, this is totally, oh my gosh. We were so excited. We were like a couple of kids bouncing around town hall. The ladies who worked there were laughing at us, because we're like, hee hee hee. It was really
is this
cute.
the town hall in your little town?
That's where you get your marriage license.
Yeah, you went in Little Compton and got it?
Yep.
Wow.
Yep. And so the justice of the peace, or who's called a wedding officiant, I guess that's the name. You don't really call them justice of the peace anymore. A wedding officiant. He's going to be doing the ceremony at the park. And then
So he's popping up too?
He's popping up too. He signs the marriage certificate,
Right.
or he
That's what
signs
makes it
something.
officially
And then-
legal. Yeah.
Right. They have to file it. So
Yay. Well, good for
I'm
you guys.
so excited. We're like, we're just so silly and goofy. And I have seen my wedding band. I've seen it.
Oh, he couldn't resist, or it was never a secret?
He couldn't resist. We didn't go shopping for it together.
Okay.
He bought it for me. But oh my God, I love it. It's so pretty.
Because you didn't do an engagement ring, did you?
Nope.
No, I didn't think so.
No, we didn't really. We learned our lessons from
Yeah,
our
right.
previous lives.
That's right.
And we really stuck with just what was important. And if there was something that was traditional that we carried over from what's culturally acceptable in our society for weddings, if we carried one of those traditions into our ceremony now, it was because there was a real meaning attached to it. It was something very symbolic. So the wedding bands they carry some meaning for us.
Yeah, I agree. Although
But the engagement ring, it's like, what are you going to go spend thousands of dollars on a diamond for? What does it do?
Right.
Really?
Exactly.
The band represents,
Commitment.
it's a symbol.
Yeah.
Yeah. And
Yeah.
it's like always having a piece. It's always like having, no matter where you go, you always have that person connected to you.
And
it's
it
a little-
reminds all those other guys to stay away from Helena.
Yeah, because they're lining up at the door.
Yeah, they're at your door waiting right now. I don't know. I saw the picture of you two together, and you were looking really good. It was in the last email you sent out. There was a nice picture of the two of you together.
Oh, yeah. That was from San Francisco. We went hat shopping together.
Yeah, that's a great picture.
Yeah, we had
It's
fun.
one of my favorites of the two of you, actually.
We have a lot of fun together, and these pictures keep popping up of the two of us, and it's always when we're out doing something that has a lot of fun, but it really does represent the core of our relationship, which is why we decided to make this leap into a full-time permanent commitment. It is very much the core of how we're
I
connected.
thought it was
to
just
each other.
because he was a good cook.
That too.
No.
I'm going to be honest.
Yeah, he is
That's
a good
good
cook. He is a good cook. I've eaten his food. He's a good cook. All right, everybody. That's it for today. We'll be back again next week, providing that Helena comes back. I'm not sure. Are you supposed to be here next week?
I am.
Okay, all right, just checking. Providing I haven't blown away, we'll be back next week here on Stable Scoop. Thank you so much for joining us. We're continuing our Year of the Listener. We'll have to decide what we're going to do next year. We have to talk about that soon, by the way.
I know. I was thinking about that today.
We have to come up with a plan for next year. So, but we have a couple more months left and a bunch more listeners to talk to. So we appreciate you listening in. You can find all of our show notes at stablescoop.com, and you can get the app, iOS or Android. Just search for Horse Radio Network. Stable Scoop is one of 10 different shows here on the network. And now we're in the 5,000ths of episodes. We have another 8 years and we'll hit 10,000.
Wow. Wow. Well, don't forget to log on next week for another
episode. I'll be in my 60s and something like that. But that's okay.
Let's just stick with one more episode. Let's focus on next week. There will be another one next week. And of course, I will dish on all the nuptials, all the wedding stuff.
We want
and
pictures.
You know what? I'll get pictures. We love your feedback. It makes our day. Glenn and I get all choked up when we get emails from you guys and Facebook messages. So make sure that you get in touch with us. We'd love to hear it. And many thanks to this week's sponsors. Glenn, remind us who they are.
Our sponsors of this week are horselovers.com, Horseware, and Dr. Rose's Remedies.
Be sure to visit all the great shows on the Horse Radio Network. You can find them at horseradionetwork.com. We done?
That's it.
Well,
I'm done.
There will be more next week. Until then, happy scooping.